So yesterday was a pretty crazy day for New Orleans. We had the Christian Clark article on NOLA.com talking about how things are not great right now. But you know what? They actually could get better, and they could get better pretty quickly. And we're going to talk about that in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pelicans, your daily New Orleans Pelicans podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Pelicans, the daily free podcast covering everything you want to know about your favorite team, the New Orleans Pelicans, and NBA as a whole. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Available wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. I'm your host, Pelicans Insider, credential member of the media, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. Here with you all on Friday, final show of the week, final show before we get Media Day, or on Media Day. We're going to do a Monday episode about biggest questions we want answered at Media Day, and yeah, there's kind of a lot after yesterday and all the news that came out. So we're not going to dive too much into that. I had yesterday's show, and I'm not going to swear probably at all in today's show like I did yesterday, but we needed to have that episode because, man, like, things are wrong with New Orleans right now and the Pelicans, and there is a frosty relationship between Zion Williamson and David Griffin. There's some blame on both sides, though I put way more on David Griffin. And look, the story goes deeper than what was reported, and I've spent kind of the past day talking to people, and there's a lot more going on, just none of it that can be really talked about just yet. But maybe that all comes out in time. But let's be positive. I had a lot of people say we'd like a positive show after all of the negativity yesterday, and I agree. It was pretty negative, and rightfully so. But there's no reason we can't look on the bright side of things. It's a Friday. The weather's nice. We want to go into our weekend feeling kind of good. So let's talk about how things can kind of get fixed here in New Orleans. But before we get to all of that, today's episode of Locked On Pelicans brought to you by RockAuto.com. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit RockAuto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. So look, there's some deep-seated issues here, but I don't necessarily think there's anything that can't be repaired. Maybe David Griffin and Zion Williamson don't become best friends ever, and maybe they don't speak much. I also think that could be fine, and I think Zion would be okay with that. In fact, if he is still here in New Orleans, they're winning, and he just doesn't have to deal with David Griffin. Honestly, that's a pretty good start to things, I think, right? Like, if you've got a star player that's willing to kind of accept that kind of working environment, it doesn't need to be buddy-buddy with everybody, and I don't think he does. And I think that if you do keep David Griffin away from him, things could get a little bit better. By all accounts, that's sort of what's happened. I actually do think Zion likes it here. You know, he wants to win, and if they're not capable of doing it and they don't look like they're going to be doing it, yes, he's going to want out. But I don't think if they're winning, he will want out purely because of David Griffin. I think that's a good way to put it, and that's kind of my gut feeling based on conversations and things like that. I don't know. That sounds optimistic to me in a sense. So I think winning definitely does cure things. This is a guy who wants to win basketball games, wants to start building his legacy in the NBA, and it only does that by winning. So winning basketball games this year could go a long way towards healing a lot of these rifts. Winning also creates like a fun atmosphere, right? People want to be around that. You're joking, you're laughing, you're having a really good time, and that's a really important thing, I think, to these players. So winning is where you get that. When you're losing, you just don't have it. It's a long season. It's a drag. Everyone hates losing in the NBA for the most part. It doesn't just lend itself to that. So if you start winning, a lot of the culture and the atmosphere problems, let's call it, tend to fix themselves. That's, you know, winning tends to attract other winning and things like that in good situations. So win some basketball games. And they have talent to do it, right? Zion was nearly All-NBA last season. He could make an All-NBA roster. Should at least be as good as he was last year, if not better. And he was historic last year. B.I. has done the right things this offseason, just put his head down and work. They got rid of Stan Van Gundy, whom he didn't like whatsoever. So maybe he comes in a little bit more refreshed and a little bit more motivated. They have a lot of talent. You've got Valanciunas, who in the right role, which could be with the second unit, could do wonders for the team. You've added some shooting in Devontae Graham, and who's maybe going to be a little bit more consistent than Lonzo Ball. And we'll get into this in the next segment, you have guys that look primed to make the leap, and I think that's actually going to be the biggest thing. Winning this year would be good, but showing that you have a long-term winner is even better. But they can definitely win games this year. The schedule is pretty well balanced for them. You know, you will have some easing off of COVID restrictions now with vaccinations, things like that, so that these players can maybe build more camaraderie. And I went on Locked On Nuggets to talk with Matt Moore at HP Basketball. And one of the questions he asked me was, you know, this team didn't really look like a team, just kind of like a group of guys. And we talked about this last year a lot, right? If you've been listening to the show for a while. I said they never looked like a team, just a collection of talent out there on the roster. Now with some of the COVID restrictions being eased up, maybe being able to spend more time with these guys on the road, do more things like that, despite Zion not being there in Nashville with the team, yeah, I think that is a way to kind of build a lot of that camaraderie as the season goes on. So I think that's something that's just going to improve overall because of somewhat getting away from these COVID things. It just makes it easier on a young team. These players can be a little bit freer. There's less restrictions. That can be an important thing, I think, especially for a lot of these young guys. So I think when you look at that, just things have to get better because of that. And things definitely are fixable with winning. But proving you're a long-term winner, and it's not just going to be a one-season thing, I think that's what makes this really intriguing. And I think that can fix things more than ever. But how do they get to that? And that's what we'll talk about coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Before we do that, though, today's episode of Locked On Pelicans is brought to you by Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar out there. They're candy bars that are just basically healthy for you and in protein bar form. I had the cookie dough flavor, cookie dough chunk, yesterday for lunch with a smoothie. Delicious. Thing's awesome. One of my coworkers walked by my office and was like, "You just eating candy bars in your office?" I'm not. These things are healthy for you, and this is my lunch. Couldn't believe it. I gave them one to try, and they're going to order a box of them now. So these things are delicious. People love them. If you don't want the cookie dough flavor, they have tons of other ones. Mint brownie is a favorite of mine. Double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream. Could go on and on and on. Plus limited edition flavors, things like that. You've got to check out Built.com to see what they have basically at any given time with all the special flavors that they have coming out. And the macros on these things are great. 17 to 18 grams of protein, calories between 130 and 180. Only 4 to 5 grams sugar, only 4 to 5 grams net carbs. All amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. So go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15, and you're going to get 15% off your next order. Again, when you go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off any of the Built Bars and their other products that they have. All right, here on Locked On Pelicans, the daily free show talking about everything you want to know about the Pelicans. We'll be back to 5 days a week on Monday. So Monday show. What do we want to hear at Media Day? What are our big kind of burning questions? And yeah, we got a lot right now. And then after that, takeaways from Media Day as the team heads into training camp. We'll run down the training camp roster, but like we kind of know who's on the opening day roster, and we don't really need to spend a lot of time talking about some of the fringe guys. But sure, let's run it down. So we'll get you set for everything because look, preseason basketball is basically here and right around the corner, and we're going to see some real games soon. Well, we'll finally start to get answers to a lot of the questions we have about this team. One of the questions I have, and one of the keys to them this season, though, is these young guys taking a leap. You know, I did a show on Jackson Hayes about how he could really take a step forward and potentially, I think, be a starter by the end of the year. There's also Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who we're penciling in as a starter, I think. And if he's an above-average starter and takes that leap, becomes more consistent, that's really big for this team, huge for this team. But it extends beyond just winning games this season. Those are the type of players that are going to help you long-term. And that's where this becomes really important. The Pelicans are banking on internal growth. They didn't dramatically improve the team in the offseason. I think Valanciunas is an upgrade over Steven Adams, but is it like a huge chasm here? There it is. Or is it kind of like that? I think it's more this. That's fine. And you can move him into a role that I think suits him better with the bench, besides the point. You know, I think you could maybe say that Devontae Graham is an upgrade over Lonzo Ball, but call their shooting about even, right? Maybe a little bit more consistent, so a minor upgrade there. They've added some depth in guys like Satoransky, though I don't think you'll see him get a ton of minutes. Same for Garrett Temple. Nice vets to have, but I don't want them playing a ton. I do want it to kind of be these young guys. So they're better than they were last year, at least on paper, right? I think that's important. So they should be better than they were last year. But if these guys take the step forward, if Jackson Hayes can become a starter or a really high-end role player for you, if Nickeil can be an above-average starter, you're now significantly improved from last year. Not just marginally improved. That's where you become a playoff team, and you don't need to worry about the play-in tournament as much. That team could fight for 6, I think, in the Western Conference. At least fight for it. It might not finish there. That's a real big deal. But then you look at it, and you're back kind of on the right trajectory that you want to have. Outsiders are going to look at the team and be like, oh, that's a young, up-and-coming team. You have Zion, all-NBA nearly guy, right? Brandon Ingram, all-star level guy. And now you have Nickeil and Jackson Hayes, who are starters that are all young as well and still have high ceilings and room to grow and improve even more. They were the 6th seed. And that's not even counting a guy like Kira Lewis Jr., who they're very clearly high on, right? They're very clearly high. Maybe you don't trust Griff on this, but I actually trust him on the drafting part of things. They're very high on him, and I think that's part of the reason they let Lonzo Ball walk, that they felt they have a guy that can be a bit of a replacement in Kira Lewis Jr. or step into that role. And then you have Trey Murphy, right? Who is maybe the most impressive rookie in Summer League to a certain degree alongside Davion Mitchell with the Sacramento Kings. All of a sudden you have Zion, B.I., Nickeil, Jax, who are starters, and then 2 other guys in Kira and Trey Murphy. How many? 6 guys. I can do the math. And they're all young? They're all rookie deals still, other than B.I.? That's a team with an upward trajectory, right? That's a team that you look at and you're like, they're only going to keep getting better and they're going to keep growing together. Zion's going to look at that and be like, I got to stay here. He already likes it here. I can tell you he likes it here. But he is going to look at that and be like, there's no need to jump ship to another team that maybe is a little bit more competitive in the short term, but doesn't have as long of a runway as this does. You want to try and win 6 titles, it's going to be on a team with young guys like that who can keep growing and are somewhat cost controlled at that point. That's how you do it. That's how you look to this team and see them back on track. Those young guys taking the leap. And if they do that, and look, Nickeil stepping up in Nashville, organizing team activities, workouts, things like that, dinners, trying to take on more of a leadership role. Sign me up for that. Jackson Hayes is someone that I think could be a starter by midseason. And then you know what that allows you to do? It allows you to trade Valanciunas and round out the roster a little bit more and get a piece for him. He's an expiring deal. Are we expecting him to be back next year? No. So if Jax steps into that starter role and is that vertical spacing threat and more of a perimeter spacing threat, even though teams wouldn't guard him out there, that looks good. You can trade Valanciunas, who's a good basketball player, and get a nice piece in return and round out your roster a little bit more. That looks pretty good all of a sudden, I think. And that makes me feel good about where this team could be headed. And that's going to make Zion feel that way too. And that fixes the ship a whole lot because not only are you winning this season, you look primed to be winning for the next couple of years. I don't think it's unreasonable that this can happen. They're banking on it. It's unknown right now. We won't really know till about midway through the season if these guys are taking that leap. But yeah, there sure as hell is potential there for that to happen. That should make you really optimistic, I think, as a Pelicans fan. So we talked about that. The roster, the players, these guys growing. There's one more thing that makes me really optimistic. In Willy Green, we trust. Let's talk about that next, coming up here in today's episode of Locked On Pelicans. Before we do that, though, today's episode of Locked On Pelicans brought to you by RockAuto.com. This is my go-to site for car parts, and I work on my cars a good bit. I got a 76 Corvette sitting outside that needs some work done this weekend to it. I'm going to be got a nice new drill and tap set to try and work on something and make some bolts fit a little bit better. Plus, I get a lot of my tools there too to work on the Wrangler I have, and I'm installing some running boards alongside of it this weekend so that I can get all of these car parts that I have in the house from RockAuto.com out of the house because it's driving my girlfriend a little bit insane. And frankly, yeah, I'd like more room in this space as well. So go to RockAuto.com because they're going to have all the parts you could ever need. Maybe it's a car from the 70s. Maybe it's a newer car. Their easy-to-use website is going to make it so that you can find whatever it is you're looking for your automobile, whether it's car, truck, what have you. Plus, they're going to be cheaper than anywhere else. Those chain stores, one, they're barely going to have parts that fit. You're stuck with one type of part, and you're going to have to pay whatever price it is that they're going to try and get from you because you're stuck there. Or you could go to RockAuto.com where the prices are always reliably low and they're going to have more options for you than anywhere else. So go explore their easy-to-use website today to see all the parts available for your car or truck and write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit RockAuto.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Football's back and teams are on the gridiron for another football season. And as always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this year. With a new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football. Plus, they have NBA futures. We're talking optimism about the Pels right now. If you're feeling good about this, you can get good odds on them making the playoffs right now. Or, bet against them, I guess, too, if that's what you want. Or any other teams. If you're feeling the Lakers aren't actually title favorites, go bet against them. You can make some money off of your sports knowledge here. So head to the website using your mobile device, sign up today, and receive a 100% welcome bonus. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget, use promo code LOCKEDON or promo code NFL100. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. Bet online, the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports favorites. And it's betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. All right, continuing to talk about optimism for the Pelicans. We're putting yesterday in the rearview mirror, win a bunch of games, do a couple of things, have some guys take steps forward, and maybe this can all be cured and we can kind of move on from this, and this is just some weird footnote at a Pelicans championship parade, which would be really, really freaking cool, right? So here's another reason for optimism with it. We just went over the guys who could make the leap, right? But you have a breath of fresh air coming in Willy Green. They need this dude so badly. After the stuff with Griff, which, look, it's not maybe the greatest communicator, relationship builder with these players, doesn't connect with them, right? Stan Van Gundy didn't connect with these guys at all for a variety of reasons. Some his fault, some COVID, reasons too. But you get Willy Green coming in. He definitely should connect with these guys. That's like what he's known for, right? Former player can relate to them. He's had success in all of his other coaching stops, won an NBA title, and coached under really great people. You've seen the way players look at him. If there ever was a coach to get a group motivated and get these guys playing really hard and committing on the defensive side of the ball, it sure seems like Willy Green. In Willy, I trust here. I really do. I think it's one of the better hires they could have made. I think you're going to see a world of difference just from him. Treating these guys like humans, not yelling at them, but being able to connect with them and getting their buy-in from that. If he gets them playing harder than they did last year, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, his team's going to go places. The offense is going to be good. And then he's also done the right things, right? He wants to run. You have hyper-athletic guys that can handle the rock. Go play in transition and play fast. Yeah, and then you have Point Zion for your half-court offense. It sounds great to me. And now they're going to commit on the defensive side of the ball. Maybe they simplify things. They should be good, right? If you can jump up 10 spots on the defensive rankings and get into the middle of the league, that's going to get you places, I think. That's how you win a lot of basketball games, because the offense is certainly, I think, going to be there, especially with Mike D'Antoni helping them craft some of this using his expertise as a coaching consultant. Won't be with the team for the most part during the time, but he's there kind of as a sounding board. But then it also creates a buffer between the players and the front office, and Zion and David Griffin. If there is someone that Zion needs to relate to, now your head coach is an important person in this that you have that with. Right? When you need him to be motivated and bought in, the head coach can do it rather than playing the piano for him like David Griffin tried to do. I think that's important. There's a bit of a buffer. It kind of defrosts that situation a little bit, even if it's just like an insulated wall in between both of them. That's good. That rectifies this situation. It gives him the support that he needs. That's all really, really good things, I think. So, despite everything yesterday, and look, yesterday's not good, and as I said, I've been having conversations. There's some deeper things here that need to get sorted out, and things need to be handled better by a lot of people. And again, I put most of the blame on David Griffin than Zion. I think it can be fine. Winning will fix it, and then bringing a guy in like Willy Green can really, really fix a lot of the issues that I think they're having. It's one thing for Zion to be able to relate to an assistant coach, which he does. But having that head coach who's like the guy, I think is a big thing with that. So kind of symbolically, Willy Green's really important in this. And look, seems like an absolute home run hire for New Orleans. So there's reasons for optimism despite how awkward media day is going to be on Monday. And we'll touch on that on the Monday morning show. And then we'll be recapping it Tuesday and probably, the rest of the week with all of that stuff. So we'll see. But there are reasons for optimism. There's no reasons to be super dejected yet if you're a Pelicans fan. And despite whatever condition Zion shows up in, whatever he looks like, let's wait till we see some games before we jump to some conclusions. And not even preseason games, so that'll maybe give us an idea of exactly the shape and condition Zion's in, and that's going to be a big question on Monday, but giving you a little bit of a preview of things. All right, so let's end it there. That's going to do it for a hell of a weird week here at Locked On Pelicans and for all of you as fans as well. So thank you all for sticking with me. We're back to normal, back to 5 days a week. It's wonderful to be back home with internet and in New Orleans and a lot of the stuff hopefully in the rearview mirror, and hopefully it is for you as well. So that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Pelicans. Please subscribe to the show on YouTube. Tell a friend about the show. Leave a 5-star review with a comment wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to the podcast too. I know that sounds like a lot, but it takes like 30 seconds to do all of that. And as always, I'm your host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and I'll be back with you all on Monday.